Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We have a fun guest for you guys today. We have Faith Irvin, and she's tuning in from North Carolina, toasty North Carolina. So, thank you so much for joining us today, Faith.
No problem.
And we were just chatting before we hit record. Her AC went out, so thankfully you're in the AC area of the house right
Yeah.
now,
Yes, thankfully
surviving.
it's not the whole house.
Yeah.
Just
Oh man. But you have good opportunities to heat train if you want. But you probably get plenty of that when you just ride in general. So as our listeners know, we're gonna dive straight into our two truths and a lie.
all
So
right.
why don't you break those down for us?
All right. Number one, I've jumped out of a plane.
Ooh.
Two, I've had a baby at home. And number three, I'm severely allergic to cats.
Oh man. I'm an old cat lady. It hurts.
Sorry, I have dogs.
Oh, I mean, we've had but yeah. Right now I'm in my old cat lady phase of life. We had a dog until last year, but he had to go over the
Yeah.
Rainbow Bridge. Um, Severely allergic to cats. That's a bummer.
I can
Had
I
a
can watch
baby? You can do what?
him on TV.
There you go.
Cat
Okay.
video.
That might be, I feel like I'm leaning towards now. I feel like that's true. You're convincing me now. You're following through with that one. Um,
I won't
I
say.
don't, yeah, don't reveal it. Don't reveal. What do you think, Amanda? The baby at home, I feel like is certainly possible.
Yeah, I think that could be possible. Jumped out of a plane. These are tough.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with jumped out of a plane as the lie.
That's what I was kind of leaning towards as well. Let's stick with that one. Don't tell us the answer, Faith. We're gonna reveal it for the listeners at the end and find out if you had a baby at home, jumped out of a plane, or are severely allergic to cats or not. So why don't you take us back a ways, Faith, and tell us a little bit about your upbringing, like what got you excited about maybe endurance sports or just cycling in general? What brought you to the bike?
Um, Weird thing is I've never actually done any sports whatsoever, period, until I picked up a bike. I've
Amazing.
never, yeah, so I've never done it. And I've always liked cardio. So I'd go to the gym and just do insane amounts of just random cardio at the gym. And then what started cycling, my husband actually started before me.
Mm.
And we were going to a trip, San Diego. And he's like, "Do you want to rent a bike and ride there?" And I was like, "Sure, whatever." I rode 25 miles. I came
Wow.
back to town and I bought a bike that day. Like, I was like, I'm in love.
Oh, that's great.
Absolute love. So that's just where it started at its
Yeah.
very base. And then since then I've just been writing.
Yeah.
And so it's really a simple story.
Yeah, I love it. And so did he put you like right on a road bike or were you on
Yeah,
like
it
a
was
rental
it was
tourist
a road
bike?
it was a road
Okay.
bike. It was like a full blown, I didn't clip in of course, but it was like a full blown road bike.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, this is amazing."
Yes. Uh,
Um and
do
that
you
was
recall
go ahead, I'm
do you
sorry.
I was gonna say, do you recall how your body felt after your first ride?
It wasn't bad. Like I said, I was always doing, like I would go on those machines in the gym and
Yeah.
whatever the random thing and be there for an hour, hour and a half. Just because I love that feeling that cardio brings. So it's not like
Yeah.
it's not like my husband's story. The first time he got on a bike, he's like, "I'm gonna ride to work." And then he got his bike and he rode like around the block. He's like, "Oh, this is gonna take a little bit longer than what I expected." So the cardio wasn't his thing then.
Yeah.
So I felt great. It just felt amazing. I felt free, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, this is it. I need a bike."
Yeah. That's awesome. We get the breeze going by you,
Yeah,
just can get so much further faster than on two
yeah.
feet. So we have definitely some listener questions, and we probably maybe will go through some of these or cover some of these as we're going through your kind of journey into cycling. But so you said no sports in school, but once you got out of school, gym, cardio, was it more like
And even
running or cycling in the gym or?
no, I don't even know the machines, and it wasn't even up until then. It was about goodness, I don't know. Right before I started, the year before I started cycling was when I started going to the gym.
Mm,
Um, so I hadn't been doing anything
mhm.
at all. I had it. It was just like,
Yeah.
oh. And then I was like, oh, I love cardio. And it was
Yeah.
just like these random machines, and I don't even know which ones. Like,
Hmm.
I couldn't tell you the name, but not the elliptical, but something kind of like, but anyways, I would just be in there
Yeah.
doing random things.
Yeah. So how many years have you been cycling for now?
Gosh, I think it's about 5 years now. We're looking at 5 years.
Awesome.
Been doing
And
it.
any racing that you've been doing?
Yeah. Endurance is my love. I've always loved riding long distances, but for whatever reason, I'm in crit racing.
Yeah.
That's my main, which is kind of like a weird thing to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've been doing crit racing. And I started that a couple years after I started cycling, kind of
Awesome.
dabbled into it. And I've made it to a Cat 3 now, which
Nice.
is very interesting for women. I feel.
Yeah. Tell us a little, well, first, can you tell our listeners what is crit racing? Because some people probably don't know what that is.
Um, let's see here. It's basically like a close. It's like a closed course, and it's usually a short course.
Mhm.
And you just take a million laps. That's how it
Yeah.
feels. Like you just go around and around and around versus like a road race. You're doing a course or a long road. But no, this one is just, and it varies from 4 corner crits. There's so much variety to it, but I think it's
Mm.
less than a mile is a crit, and after
Mm.
that, it's like a circuit or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And with the crit racing, is it based off of a time duration and then how many laps you complete within a given time?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, for the first part, I guess they're calculating the laps, and at some point in the middle, they're like 16 laps to go or whatever.
Oh.
But usually there's a general time. They're like, okay, it's an hour, so it's going to be
Mm.
around, usually a little bit under. They usually don't make you
Mhm.
go over that hour, luckily.
Mhm.
Usually like a little bit under, but that's how they calculate it. Kind of a
Yeah.
general idea.
And how was your what was your first experience with your very first crit race?
Well, out here, the racing scene, well, for women, I mean, there's nobody. So my first crit
Hmm.
race was with Cat 5 men. So
Oh my
so
gosh.
so of course, I mean, I got first, you know what I mean? Because I was
Heck
the only
yeah.
one.
Amazing.
Nobody else was there, but I was racing with guys, and I was like, oh, this is exhilarating. This is fun. Because my whole jump into racing was kind of like how I jumped into bike. Somebody was like, oh, you should try a crit race. And I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. And then I did, and I was like, this is fun.
Yeah.
And that's just how it started. So it started actually with dudes.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. So sounds like these are just like, oh, I'm gonna I don't know what to expect. Like, I'm just jump in and test it out. Has that been kind of like your personality your whole life? Like you do that often?
Oh, oddly enough, well, usually I think I worry. I worry a little bit more for whatever reason.
Yeah.
With cycling, I was just like, oh, we'll just try. Well, I guess I'm pretty open to things, so I don't know. But
Yeah.
with
Good for
cycling,
you.
I've just kind of wanted to. It just feels good. I'm just like I just kind of do what feels good, what makes my body feel good,
Yes.
mentally, everything, and just go from there.
Yeah. I think that's a very healthy perspective to have because I think a lot of people take it, the mindset and the goals are totally different and skews things the other way.
Yeah.
So talking about that and the crit, so how long are you out there racing for typically?
Well, as a Cat 3, it's usually about 45 or an hour. It just kind of depends on how. The racing scene for women is really hard because you start out as a Cat 5, 4, 5. You're a novice. You're a
Mm-hmm.
novice. You're racing people that don't have, as much. Everybody's getting experience. Then as soon as you hit a Cat 3, you're like, you race with the pros. Now it's Cat 1, 2, 3. So you go from like a 30-minute race to like, here's an hour. There's
Wow.
not like much of a transition. So yeah, everything's about like an hour now.
Oh my gosh.
So,
That's
which is
great.
interesting. Yeah, but
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm personally also not very versed in crit racing. So this is a good learning experience for myself as well. With something like that, are you fueling at all during, or is it so like tactical with positioning?
you definitely have to. Well, for the longer ones, for me
Yeah.
personally, and you'll see other people doing it too. You have to do something because I feel like I'm bonking, or you're just like because it's so high intensity. It's
Yeah.
an hour straight of high intensity.
Mm.
But usually, I also try to fuel in my bottle
Mm-hmm.
versus trying to get something out, open it, put it in my mouth, chew.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes even the very action of chewing when you're feeling like you're dying is very hard.
Yeah.
So sometimes I try to put more things in my bottle or,
Mm-hmm.
but
That's
yeah, but yeah,
great.
you definitely, at least for me, I definitely have to fuel,
Yeah.
if it's hard.
And are the crit races, I've seen some, I don't know if it's if it like I feel like I've had some clients where they do like weekly crit races, but they're in the evening. Like, is
Yeah.
that what you, okay.
Well, I don't necessarily get to do those because some
Mhm.
people have those local to them, and that's amazing.
Mm,
Like I said, here they do have like a Tuesday race situation, but it's
mm,
always men. So if
mhm.
I go, I'm racing with men. So it's kind of
Yeah,
like, I can go there just for funsies, basically, or just to have practice, but
yeah,
there's no weekly crit option for me here.
yeah,
So when I want to race, I have to go places. I have
yeah,
to, hop on a plane, hop in the car, and go. There's nothing.
yeah,
I wish there
mm,
was.
yeah.
Jealous of people that have the local options, but
You
don't
got to
have that.
get more ladies on bikes out there.
No,
Yeah.
that want to race. Come on.
Yes. I think that's the case, like in a lot of places too,
Yeah.
quite honestly. Like I know out where I am too, there's a lot of female cyclists who have done well in their career as a cyclist, trying to promote a lot of different things to help basically like get young girls on bikes and,
Mhm.
their confidence on a bike and that kind of stuff as well. But so with the crit cycling stuff, what is your go-to fuel and how much do you think you're consuming through like an hour
Oh,
race?
oh man. I have not calculated, and
Yeah.
sometimes I've been trying to switch it up because I
Okay.
really don't like opening packages. So last time
Mm-hmm.
I put the little gummies
Mm-hmm.
and pant legs, at the bottom of your bibs. I tried
Yes.
that last time, but I was like, chewing is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what is the name? I like, gosh, I can't think of the name of the stuff I put in my bottle. Of course, I'm drawing a blank on it.
So it's a powdered
Oh
carb
yeah, well,
mix?
I would do. I mean, I've done flow formulas.
Oh yeah.
I've done different variations, different ones I try out. Usually
Mm-hmm.
depends on how long the race is, how much. If it's 30 minutes,
Yeah.
I don't need anything at all. But once you start hitting that 45 to an hour, I need something. What is the name of the Tailwinds? Tailwinds is another
Oh
one
yeah.
I put in my
Mm-hmm.
bottle. But as far as gels, I usually try I do an at the line, and I'll
Nice.
do, for me, food-based gels are better. I can't do like the extremely sticky, tacky, sugary ones.
Yes.
So, like for instance, like Huma, I love
Oh
that. I
yeah.
also do Martine. I also do
Mm-hmm.
anything usually more natural food based. I tolerate
Yeah.
better because when
Nice.
it's sugary, it's coming
Yes.
up. So
Yeah, yeah. Have you tried the BPN gels that
mm-mm.
are they're kind of like a spin-off, and our listeners might cringe when I say this, a spin-off of Spring. I don't know if you heard
Okay.
of the
Yep. I have spring too. I
yeah.
have.
Um, but their ingredients are super simple and a lot like real food based, but
Mhm.
they only claim 24 grams of carbs in their product, which seems more realistic.
Yeah.
If you heard about the whole spring debacle.
I haven't. So
Oh no. Okay.
I'll
Yeah,
Google.
for our listeners, you can Google that. It's all over the internet, but they basically did not put the amount of carbs in their gel that was said on the label. So a lot of people are getting under the amount of carbs. Mhm.
Ooh,
That's a
okay.
problem. So yeah, anyways, so real food, I like that. I love that because you're getting more vitamins and minerals than as opposed to a lot of these other products that are straight. And I get there's a purpose for all of these things and there's a place, but um I love the start line too. So any nutrition questions I ask you to, no wrong answer. This is total, we want your personal experience. We've had guests on where they're like, I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to be doing, but this is what I do because they're scared to say what they
Yeah.
do in front of me. Totally no judgment. We just want to learn what works for you because part of our whole purpose of this podcast too is we have on researchers that test stuff in a lab and say what should be done in a lab setting, but then there's the actual application of stuff. And so we like to speak with athletes like yourself to see what is actually working in practice and get tips and tools from actual practice application of sports nutrition stuff. So there's never a wrong answer. Have you utilized any supplements that help with those short and fast stuff like the creatine or the sodium bicarb or beta
I
alanine?
I no I have tried a pre-workout by, goodness, I can't remember the name. Of course, I'm always drawing blanks on names. What is, can't remember the name, but sometimes I'll do that. And what I usually do is about like 30 minutes before the race, I'll do a protein shake and I'll put the pre-workout in there.
Mhm.
And then I'll do a gel and then I'll fuel as needed throughout the race. But yeah,
Nice.
sometimes I do that. I have not done creatine because I keep hearing these things like it makes you gain weight, and then if you gain weight, then it's going to be more watts needed on the bike. So what's the point? And I'm just like, this is too much for me. So I don't really dabble too much into
Yeah.
those things. I just kind of like I might try, but I don't have it like down to a science. It's
Yeah.
still, and then it evolves for me because like I can't always do the same. Like you hear with my gels, like I have a bunch of different kinds because
Mhm.
I get burnt out if I stick to one. So
Totally.
it's always changing for me. And then I
Yeah.
think one time over base training, I'm like, I started making these protein pancakes to take with me because I was like, I can't take another gel
Yeah.
right now, so it's always evolving for me.
Yes. Yeah, I totally get that. The flavor fatigue is real. And yeah, the burnout, it is definitely something that we have to keep in mind. So with your racing right now, how often are you competing in a race or crit?
Well, well, this year it seems like because for me to go to a race, it's so much effort because it's not like
Yeah.
I can just drive an hour or two or whatever. I have to go somewhere, have a hotel. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
lot. So I've been
Yeah.
trying to focus. I felt like last year I was just driving so much,
Mhm.
driving, and I would drive 3-4 hours to a race,
Wow.
and drive those three. It was just too
Yeah.
much. This year, I've been trying to focus more on the bigger event races. So,
Mhm.
like, we were at Toad. We're going to be doing Gateway. So we're doing a lot of more of the major. I did some speed week, just focusing on major, and then good blocks of training in between,
Awesome.
because that's just the way my life was built.
Yes, yeah. No, I get it. And tell us a little bit about what a week of training looks like for you right now.
Um, well, I mean, as far as the amount of hours, or usually
Yeah,
I'm
and
on
are you
the bike
doing, go ahead. Yeah.
12 to 15 or 10, depends on if it's rest week, 10 to 15 hours.
Nice.
I'm not going to the gym right now. I'm
Hmm.
still gonna be up for base.
Yep.
But that's pretty much it. So I do endurance. Of course, I do some high intensity workouts. It's just a good amount of variety
Yeah,
that I do in
that's
there.
great. Do you have a coach programming your training for you, or do you follow like a plan?
Not right now.
Hmm.
I do kind of follow a rough plan of my own,
Yeah.
but I'm not actually with the coach at the moment.
Yeah. Kind of jumping back to you talking about liking to do endurance because it makes you feel good and things that make you feel good. Do you kind of base what your training is going to be based off how you're feeling that day? Like if you're like, yeah,
No,
so good.
no. If
No.
I did that, I probably wouldn't do, because some days I'm like, I don't want to do that, or I don't want, but then when you do it, then I feel better. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I can't just like, oh, I just want to feel good. No, Faith,
Yeah.
you're gonna hurt, but it's gonna be a good hurt, and you're
Yeah.
gonna be happy about the results. So
Awesome.
no, I can't feel happy every day, but
Yeah.
I don't want to be crying on the bike, but
Yes. Yeah. Do you train in the morning?
it depends.
Yeah.
I like I said, I'm a photographer, so
Oh, yes.
my schedule,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know my work schedule. So sometimes
Yeah.
I prefer in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have to get on the trainer, it better be morning or afternoon. Because if I have to get on the trainer at night, it's
Mm.
just ugly every time. I
Yeah.
don't know what I don't know if it's a mental thing, but I prefer morning workout, especially if it's hot. That's
Yeah.
my go-to. Get it out the way,
Yeah.
and you just go on with your life.
Yeah.
Uh, over evening, I
Mhm.
mean, I can ride in the evening, but the trainer,
Yeah. The heat and then just the mental willpower at the end of the day, I feel like is
yeah.
so drained at that point. Um, with the training, you said some interval stuff. How are you gauging that? Are you like what kind of with the crit stuff? What are your intervals looking like right now? How are those sets structured?
Well, a lot of is like VO2 max and threshold as far
Yeah.
as those things, because in a crit race, it's not like a lot of there's nothing steady
Hmm.
about it's like hammer, 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 going to the turn, hammer out of the turn, hammer up the hill. Somebody's coming by, hammer it. So you have to be able to to like deal with that and be able
Yeah.
to respond and not die, or do your
Yes.
best to not die.
This sounds really fun to watch. Is there,
It is.
yeah.
I feel like it's it's interesting to watch road races too, but
Yeah.
crit, especially if you're there, it's a whole vibe. And certain
Yeah.
races that they have are just like the whole feel. Like whenever they do
Wow.
accents, is just like it's a whole party.
Mm,
Crits. So it's really awesome.
that is great. I am bad and did not watch a whole lot of the Olympics, but did do either of you know if was there crit racing in the Olympics?
I don't think so. But I
Oh,
didn't watch.
okay. Okay.
Should know, but no, I didn't. I think I would have known to watch, but no, I didn't. I don't
Yeah.
remember seeing any crit racing. I don't know. I don't
Okay. I feel like I would have watched that. I watched the women's mountain biking, which was very cool. And yeah, the course just looked really fun. Okay, so this is kind of a listener question as well, and I feel like it's just a cool one. But what motivates you to train? Is it like that? Like I know I'm going to feel good after, or
In most cases, I mean, to a certain extent, I love training more than the actual racing.
Mm,
I love the structure. I like seeing
yeah,
the results. I just like, doing that. I don't know. And as far as motivation, but yeah, it just feels good. And then
mhm,
when you accomplish it, I like being able to physically or be able to see and like, oh, I
check the
accomplished
box.
that. Like you can see it.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel good. Like I hit that. So I think for
Hmm.
me, that's something that I just love to
Yeah.
see. Oh, I rocked that. Now, adversity, of course, if you don't rock, you're like, oh, that was ugly. But then
Yeah.
you can try again. So,
Do you describe yourself as a type A personality?
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
I'm on your vibe with the check. I need the like to check the boxes, a little to-do list. Yeah.
Oh, I am a list writer. I love
Yeah.
it.
I
Makes me feel
I yes, 100%. I 100% agree. Do you like with your training talking about like a list writer and checking stuff out, is that syncing? I know we know you have a Strava.
Yeah.
But is that syncing to like Training Peaks or Garmin, or is that like where you're kind of checking that box or
But yeah, well, yeah, everything goes into Training Peaks is usually where I'm
Mhm.
able to go and check the exact laps and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, so I'm usually up in there. I don't analyze it as
Yeah.
bad as some, but I could just be like, oh, I did that. But some people they go into the graphs, and I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
even.
Know what half
You
of
guys
that
can
means.
you can keep those graphs over there. I just want to see that I did it. I don't
Yeah.
care about
Yeah.
all the other stuff.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff in there
Yeah.
that you can, I don't know how they came up with half of those things. Yeah, pretty funny. So, and do you like with the training aspect, I mean, being the type A, but any like motivational books or anything like that that's like ever inspired you to do it, or
No,
you just
I
like,
actually don't even read or nonfiction. So
yeah.
and if I do, I'm usually doing listening books on the bike now, and they're usually like
Mhm.
zombie apocalypse books. So sure, that's not inspiring me to
Ride
ride.
faster.
I mean, and I so no, I don't have anything inspirational. I usually just I don't know, it feels good. And then it's
Yeah.
just like for me, it's very calming for me.
Yeah.
Some people like to like, oh, I need to relax and they can go
Mhm.
sit. I can't sit. I'm like, if I'm sitting there, I'm
Yeah.
like, I could think of 100 things I can do. So when I go out and I'm on my bike, I'm like, even though I'm working hard,
Yeah.
pushing my body, I'm relaxing. That's how
Mhm.
it resets for me.
Yeah.
So I guess that's part of my motivation, just because it's my relaxing time. I
Yeah.
say hey to the cows I pass every day. You know what I mean? So that's
That's great. There is a very much like a meditative like breathing that happens when you get in that consistent yeah, like endurance state. So I love that. I definitely noticed that with running with myself personally, like you get that.
I mean, I hear about running, but
Yeah.
I don't run. I'll
Yeah.
give
I
you a
have to
good.
say going from
I'll
the
give-
bike to running is awful.
Although I did do a random. I think what is it? What is it? A 10K. What's a 10K? How many miles is that? Seven
Like
miles.
5 point or
6.2.
okay. Amanda's
Okay,
a
so
race
I
director too.
randomly
So
do that this year, just for no reason with some people. They're like, "We're going running." I'm like, "Okay," and I went and I did that. 10K for the
Nice.
first, like, it's rando, but
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why I did that, but
Yeah. Were you like, what are my legs even trying to do under my body right now?
I don't know. It was, I mean, I had a blast, but I was like, yeah, I don't know about this. Where's my bike?
Different.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's a whole body experience running versus like cycling. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just something different. I thought my cycling endurance was going to transfer a lot better to running. And then I tried running. I'm like, oh my God, my heart rate is like tapping out at like
Like,
zone 4, zone
what is
5.
this new muscle in my leg?
Yeah.
Like, where did that come from? You know, that's
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, it's a whole different beast out there. Okay, what is your go-to pre-training meal or snack?
I really I really don't have one. I always like usually I'm good with and that's probably I sometimes I need to make sure I feel better. Depends on what time of the
Yeah.
day I'm also if it's first thing in the morning,
Yeah.
I can get away with my protein shake
Mhm.
and um my high protein yogurt or something like
Awesome.
that. But if it's later in the day, I've better been eating, I know some people like have like I eat spaghetti the night before a 100-mile ride. And I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
do anything
Yeah.
special. That's also, I think those endurance rides are kind of easier to me, especially at the paces. Maybe they're doing, if it's
Hmm.
my endurance pace, I don't have to do anything special. But if it's
Right.
like a high intensity 100 miles, then I probably need to think more on it or just
Mhm.
more on the bike
Yeah. Yeah.
or make it like clockwork. Like every 45 minutes, you need to eat
Yes.
something or they're going to leave you or you're going to fall over on one of those.
Do you, talking about that, have you had any experiences or challenges with like your nutrition or hydration, like bonking, hitting a wall, cramping, any of that stuff?
Well, when I first started,
Hmm.
of course, I was just not hydrating properly and I
Yeah.
stayed cramping
Oh no.
all the time. It was all, I don't know, but it just seemed like all the time. And I had to do these, make sure, but I really don't cramp or bonk except
Awesome.
for like the other day I did bonk, but that's because I had been busy working all day, forgot to eat, forgot to take
Oh,
my protein shake before I went on the ride. So I'm out here with a gel, one single gel.
oh
And
no.
I was like, huh, we're gonna slow roll in the rest of this because I could just feel everything powering down. I was like, you know what?
Oh,
I'm just not gonna hit the target I wanted today, but I also don't want to have to call somebody to come get me. So we're just gonna
yeah.
slow it down and just do what you
Yes.
can type thing.
Yeah. That's smart. Very smart. And what do you go to like post ride or post race as a recovery?
I'm horrible. Um, if I'm racing, I'm really bad about it because I'm usually
Mm.
out there. The adrenaline is
Yeah.
going, and then I totally forget. And next, I'm like, I'm starving.
Oh
But
yeah.
if I try, I try to either have another protein, something easy, so that I'm not like thinking about, or if my nerves are still up, it's like it's
Hmm.
hard for me to eat when I'm still wired.
Yes.
So I could do like a simple protein shake, or if I
Hmm.
have a yogurt, just those are like things I can eat
Yeah.
without it being overwhelming to my body.
Hmm. Yeah. That's great.
I don't have a go-to because
Yeah.
it changes. Like it's
Yeah.
just it's always changing for
Yeah.
me.
And I mean, it's pretty common to also just like not sometimes have an appetite right away, especially after that high intensity effort. So, but yeah, getting some nutrition is always wise. So I like to like not have to think about it. Protein shakes ready to rock and roll. That's good. Good to have. The other thing I wanted to dive into with you today is, and I hope I'm saying this right too, your involvement in the Abundance Project.
Yes.
Two E's, the with two E's.
Yeah.
So tell us and the listeners, what is the Abundance Project and your involvement in it.
Well, it was a program started up by Yisha McGowan.
Mhm.
She's a Black female cyclist. Most people already know her. And I got involved in this whole situation because I think it was the first year that she did it. She had like a group of people come to race at Toad and
Mhm.
to help introduce more, Black females into racing. Because
Mhm.
I mean, anyway, that's going off on a tangent. But anyway, so that's where she started. And then she was also offering micro grants to make sure paying
Oh.
for race entries to women of color to get into these races, to try to take away any roadblocks to get more
Mhm.
of us there. And I
Awesome.
actually did the micro grant and I went to Toad. And that was the first time that I really saw that level of crit racing versus like seeing that Tuesday race with the dudes. You know what I mean? And I saw this and I was like, wow, look at all these women here. This is amazing. So at
Wow.
that point, I was really sold. But so that's how it started. And I've just been working with her with the programs. I think it was the following year I actually went because she'll take like a group. I think was it Gateway or Intelli? Oh, not Intelli anymore. Now it's Chicago Grit or something. They changed the name. But anyway, so she takes and she'll help, people get there. So if you're in the, I mean, so like if she takes you to the races, she's covering the housing, the food. So there's
Whoa.
no issues for this,
Wow.
only a certain amount of women get to do that. But she's saying, hey, you have nothing stopping you from racing if this is what you want to do. You know what I mean? Take away those the troubles, the struggles, the speed bumps to get more women of color into racing.
Amazing.
So like, she'll do camps to help teach people how to ride bike. I mean, it's just like covering everything to help women of color, get more of a footing. And it's like, for me, I can even see from the point when she started it to where I'm at now, it's plenty more. I mean, of course we could still add more, but you can see the difference that is made over the years. Cause I think that was 2021 or was it 2020? No, 2020. But anyway, but yeah,
That's great.
so that's it. And now she's even done one step up. So we have a Cat 3 team. That's part of the team that I'm on,
Awesome.
Rising Force. So that we're also going to these races and we can also, she's helping us. So it's really great. Things that she's done to bring more women of color into this because it's just not a lot. I call myself a unicorn sometimes because you just don't see, I could pull up to a group ride or a race and I'm like, I'm it. This is it here.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it's definitely a great program.
That
It's
is,
just
yeah. How does she fund that? Does she take donations or how does that operate?
I do. I mean, I don't know all the inner workings of everything because I'm just part of of the program, but I'm sure she does. I mean, she works with a lot of different companies, and it's really funny because one of the people that sponsor our race team is Zwift.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I have Zwift on my racing. So at
Yeah.
Toad, some guy's like, "Oh, did you just buy that?" And it wasn't. He said it to my friend. "Did you just buy those pants, or is that really a sponsor?" I'm like, "No, it's really a
Jeez.
sponsor." Yeah, it gets
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Hey, dude.
Sassy.
I-
Yeah.
So,
Goodness. Well,
but yeah,
we will link the Abundance Project too in the show notes for the listeners if anyone wants to check it out. And where is the Abundance Project primarily located? Does it hop around to do races in different locations or?
yeah, it's different. I know there's always been a presence at Toad every year. Um, but as far as I mean, they've done the Intelli, the Gateway. It just kind of like goes. But this year, I know they did Toad, and I don't think they're doing, but they're also providing support for other the Abundance racers at other ones. But she's not doing the full blown
Yeah.
camp type thing. But even this year, she had a thing for Spain. So
Oh,
a lot of
wow.
the Abundance people and the people on my team. So I got it. We got to go to Spain and ride out there and learn from. So yeah, it's been pretty amazing to be able
That's incredible.
to work with her.
Yeah.
The knowledge and the exposure, the people. It's been really great.
That sounds amazing. I have not been to Spain, but I've heard so many amazing things about cycling in Spain and also Majorca, which I believe is like the small island off of Spain, right?
We weren't there.
Okay. But I've heard really great things with regards to like road cycling and how accepting they are and safe the roads feel and also how delicious the food is. And yeah.
I had it was definitely really nice. The roads feel a lot better because half the
Yeah.
time here I feel like people want to murder me
Oh gosh.
for existing on the road.
It's so
You know what I
scary.
mean?
Yeah.
It can
It's
be. In most
scary.
cases, a lot of people are nice, but I do a lot of my training alone.
Mm,
So 98% of the time I'm out there all by myself. And there's
yeah.
been, trucks that, nobody else is over there. You have no reason to come and try to buzz me. I've had a guy go ahead of me, stop at the intersection to curse me out. I mean, like, just like,
Oh,
and I'm out here
jeez.
just by myself. And
Oh
I'm like,
gosh.
wow, you
Yeah.
guys are angry.
Yeah.
you need to get on a bike.
Yes,
Learn on
yes.
bike.
Yeah, exactly. Goodness, I know. And it's just scary. So many people just also just looking at their phones
Yeah.
and not even paying attention. It's
Yeah.
scary. We kind of answered this, but maybe if you want to evolve a little bit on it, what are some of the biggest challenges you've faced as a female cyclist of color?
Um, I guess for me, I don't like the feeling. I mean, I can't say there's a whole lot of things that, have here, but I don't like feeling like I'm less than, or they're looking at you like you're just not capable
Mm,
because you're a female, because you're a black, because there's been, I would go up to a group ride and, they have the A group, the B group, I
mhm,
go with the A's and,
mhm.
you have guys that look at you like, this is the A group. And I'm like, I know. You know what I mean? And
Oh my
then it
gosh.
gets better. So after you finish the ride, then they're like, "Oh, you're pretty strong for a girl." And I'm like, I don't like that type of
Yeah,
that feeling. That makes me I'm like, you
yeah,
know what? And those are people I'm like, that means I'm gonna have to drop you. I'm gonna
yeah.
show you how this girl rides
Dust
because you
them.
pissed me off. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and that's what I'll do. And I try not to do that,
yeah,
but I don't care. If you want to
yeah.
be like that to me, I'll show you how this girl rides this bike
Yes.
and you can catch me at the stop sign because I'll wait
Heck
for
yes.
you. So, yeah.
I love it. That's great. I like that. Um, yeah, that's a good, I think that's a good way to channel your energy and attitude. Okay, what advice would you give to young women and girls of color who are interested in cycling and want to optimize their performance?
Just well, as far as optimizing the performance, that's really hard to say because everything can be very personal. At least for
Yeah.
me, like people can't do what I do, and I can't do what other people do to have a better performance. Everybody's going to be so different, but for me, I would just say if you want to ride as long as it feels good, as long as you're happy to that point or not. However many miles it's going to be. You don't have to, like, a lot of people are like, I'm not fast like you. And I'm like,
Mm,
it doesn't even have to be like that.
yeah.
Like, are you having fun? I
Yeah.
don't always want to go push it. I don't push it on every ride. I call it lollygagging. Like, if
Hmm.
anybody sees me on Strava, I'll be like lollygagging for 4 hours. But it's just chilling out. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So for me, I just say, if you want to ride a bike, do it, make it
Yeah.
happen, find ways, ask questions.
Hmm.
There's people out there that if a lot of people ask me questions
Hmm.
and I'll answer or try to point them in the right direction. I
Yeah.
can't help them. They're like, what bike should I get? I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I don't know that much about bikes, but ask questions and just go for it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
That's awesome. And let's see, looking ahead, what changes would you like to see in the cycling world in terms of inclusivity?
Um, as far as what, as far as a female or as far as
Everything.
well, it's kind of hard because it's like I want to ask to say, hey, I would love to have more separation, more of a transition from being a novice to that racing with pros. But
Mm,
the hard part of that is they can create this race, but we need the women to come.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they could say, here's a Cat 3 race and nobody shows. Then they're
Hmm.
like, we're not going to do this because nobody's coming. So,
Yeah.
that part I would definitely love.
Hmm.
And I feel like with that, yeah, I definitely would love that. But anyway, because it's
Yeah.
pretty demeaning when you're just going,
Yes.
oh, there's a pro racer right there. I'm lining up
Yeah.
with somebody in Legion, and
Yeah.
I'm just me. No, but yeah, so that's what I would love to see, and I'd definitely love to see more women of color, taking part. But it's also something like for me, I never even knew about it.
Yeah.
I had no clue. And even when I first started riding bikes, I really didn't have a clue. I think it just needs to be more well known. But I feel like
Hmm.
crit racing has definitely become more popular. I guess you don't have
Yeah.
to own crits. But that's all I know about. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so it's
Do
kind of
you, yeah. Why do you think that is that there's less women involved in cycling? Like I was talking with one of my male clients and he's a road cyclist and he was talking about how like in their group rides, there's barely any women that join them. And um, I don't know, what do you think that's about?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they just don't want to, or like
Yeah.
a lot of times, after a certain age, women become moms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that comes into play where like, for me, when I first started writing, I had actually had mom guilt. Like I felt guilty because I'm taking time away that I could be doing something, but also at a certain point, you also need to do something for you. But, you have, guys, they have babies and they're like, had a baby,
Yeah.
group ride that following Wednesday because it doesn't, affect
Yeah.
them as
Yeah.
much. So I
Right.
feel like that gets out. And then maybe women don't want to ride with those faster guys because they think they're going to get dropped, or maybe they're intimidated. There's a whole lot of
Yeah.
different things. You have some people like, oh, we're going to keep it at this pace.
Mm-hmm.
It's a recovery ride. It's a coffee ride. Then you have dudes sprinting to
Yeah.
every dang city sign or whatever,
Yeah.
which makes it less appealing. But
That's true.
oh
The guys and their egos.
gosh, yeah.
They gotta just, yeah, that is, I think that you're totally spot on with that. One of our friends, so I'm not sure if you're familiar with Dr. Stacey Sims. I remember she was telling me when she first had her kid, she was like, her husband, they would trade off with watching the kid, but he would have his time off and he'd be gone for like 6 hours on the bike. And she's like, I want to go away on for 6 hours.
Yeah.
So then she like took up like endurance sports, and she's
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna well, actually, I think she was doing their triathlon before that, but she's like, I'm gonna go out and do my like long ride day, and you can watch the kid. Like, I want that too. So, yeah, I totally could see a couple aspects of that. The male ego potentially getting in the way there and being too competitive, but also, yeah, a lot of women feeling that the guilt and wanting to be home, and maybe feeling too like they end up losing their fitness and then getting back to it. But yeah, I think just an inclusion in general too of getting, women in endurance sports across the board. Like Amanda could probably speak to a lot of the ultra stuff. I know recently wasn't there a woman who finished, like the first ever woman who finished oh gosh, I feel like it was in the last couple of months. Maybe Amanda, you might know this, but she finished one of those ultra trail runs, and she was
Oh,
the first woman to do it, I think, before
oh,
the cutoff.
it was the Barkley Marathon.
Oh, that was that it?
Yeah, the crazy Barkley one.
Okay. Um,
I think.
yeah. So it's just like and then that's the other thing too with a lot of these sports with ultra too, is there's the whole like, is it like chips or the lottery points, or to allocate them to women is not happening as often because of the way they've structured so these cutoffs, and yeah, so I think a lot of that needs to change
Yeah.
to get more in there. But okay, I'm gonna ping to our listener questions now, if we haven't covered some of these yet. So we have, is it difficult to manage the balance between creating content and feeling like you can be present in certain moments? Just not really cycling related, but maybe, I don't know.
People ask me all the time, like, "Oh, I love how do you come up with your content?" And I'm like,
Mm,
"This is just my life. Like, if
yeah,
I say something, it's because I'm literally because a lot of times I'll go on my bike and I'll just be thinking random thoughts throughout the time,
just
and then that's
processing.
how it comes about. But it's
Yeah.
really my life based. So if I'm
Mhm.
making something about it, then that's like usually pretty much happened or just something I've been thinking. So it feels like to some like, oh, I'm making this content. I'm like, I'm literally just being me, and and I also enjoy the fact that people enjoy me being me. So it's just like, hey, I have some other people that like to hear about my hot mess. I am more than happy to share with all of you. So it's like,
Yeah.
so it's not much
And
of
kudos to you
like,
for doing that, because a lot of people only share the good stuff. So I think that's respected and appreciated. You're
yeah,
being real. And I'm sure the photographer eye maybe benefits you too in that lens, right?
yeah, well, yeah, when I'm taking I would think, and also I can also edit things too, like,
Oh
oh,
yeah, got those
look at that
skills.
random, yeah, what's that random sweat stuff on, so sometimes
Yeah.
I do that, but that's usually not often.
Yeah. Do you, speaking of that, do you have an app on like your smartphone that you use to edit photos?
If I need to edit something, like if I really like, okay, let me remove these people from the background, I just
Mm,
do it on my computer in Photoshop.
wow. That
Just
is like, sounds
because
very
it's easier.
advanced to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I work in all the time. So if I have to like take this app and try to like
Yeah.
circle
Right.
something with my finger, it usually doesn't. It
Yeah.
just ends up in a blank. I tried one time and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
let's go to Photoshop. I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Apple's gonna have to start making these like giant phones
I know.
I was telling Amanda I probably send her so many typos. I was like, it's my big fingers on these like
Yeah.
little keyboards. Okay. How did you get into creating content? Maybe you kind of just answered that, but any other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, for the longest time, I didn't do anything with Instagram. But then I kind of was like, you know what? I just want something for me, my little space.
Yeah.
Because like Facebook is like family, you know what I mean? And people on Facebook aren't really interested in my cycling or my weird shenanigans. So I was like, I'm gonna create this, and I just was just sharing me. That's really what it came down to. I wasn't like thinking like, what can I do to? It was just like, I want this place where I'm just Faith.
Yeah.
Faith the cyclist, and here's what I'm doing or not doing great or failing at or whatever. Just sharing my random tidbits, and that's it. I just wanted to have a little corner of Faith, and that's what my Instagram is.
I like it. Did you ever try and take on TikTok?
I have, okay. First of all, I have a TikTok.
Yeah.
I have one. I don't post on it as regularly as I should because it's just so much. Like I go on here and I'm doing all this Instagram, and then I like to interact with my people, with my followers. Like I like to talk to the people in the comments. People know they can message me. I try to respond back. I like to have like, this is my internet friend circle.
Yeah, your community. Yeah.
So, like going and trying to do this again somewhere else is just tedious. And I'm like, sometimes I'll post there, but I just, I'm definitely not doing any dances. If that's what you're wondering, all that. No, I'm not doing that. So, but usually I'll just repost some Instagram onto the TikTok. That's it.
I respect that. I cannot take on the TikTok and all the Justin Bieber dancing, but I don't know.
It wouldn't even, I'm not a dancer.
Yeah.
I can't ever.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's embarrassing. Okay. I think you kind of maybe shared a little bit about this one, but it says, have you had any close calls with vehicles while road cycling?
Yes, I can say, well, one of the scary ones was with that guy. He passed really close and I put my arms up. And so he went and stopped and then was cursing me out, calling me this, that, and the third. So I pulled out my video, and then, he ended up pulling off, and I'm like, and I was just out there, and I go out far because I don't want to deal. I try to not be around cars, and, the road is clear, so that was kind of terrifying. I think the other one, an 18-wheeler,
Jeez.
I'm going downhill. He comes and he starts to come over, and it's about mid. So I'm slamming my brakes as we're going down. No. I mean, there's been so many of those. And then you have the people that say, for instance, they want to turn right. So instead of them waiting behind me, they'll zoom in front of you, turn in front of you. I mean, it just gets weird. I'm like, what thought process were you using? And I mean, great. You saved 7 seconds, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, okay, so what are you going to do with those 7 seconds that you've gained by almost killing somebody? But yeah, I've had plenty.
Do you carry pepper spray or anything?
No, I don't. Usually people don't get out their cars. They almost just always hit you with your car.
I know.
Although for some of those dogs sometimes, but
yes,
there's dogs.
Yeah.
That is sprint training is the way I look at it.
Hopefully you have a high enough gear to get into. Yeah.
Well, there's this one dog, and it's on a hill, and I know this dog likes to come out all the time, but it's a small dog, but it's just chases you down. So I know I go to this hill and I have my water bottle out, and the owner to the dog was out there one day, and she waved and I waved, and her dog came for me, and she was like, Bucky or whatever the dog is. So the dog's chasing me down up this hill. I
Oh
start
no.
squirting, and she's like, ah, ah, and I was like, it's water, it's water,
Yeah.
and I'm squirting this dog, and I was like, can you just get the dog?
Yeah.
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 But anyway, so sprint training.
Yeah. It's also dangerous for the dog. Like if the dog gets a leg or something caught in the spoke, like it's
Oh
broken.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah.
So
Scary. Okay. And then have you dabbled in gravel or mountain bike like riding?
I honestly, I would love to. I'm thinking about. I don't have those bikes,
Yeah.
so
I feel
I
like you'd
think
be fantastic at gravel.
that's what people say. Like, you'll love it,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'm probably gonna have to get a gravel bike.
Yes. Do
I
it.
believe.
Do
I would
it.
even try mountain biking. I'm just like, it wouldn't be downhill fast mountain biking because
Yeah.
me, I would hit that tree. I already know. I would just be like, I'd panic. And then
Yeah.
anyways,
Oh no.
so yeah, I definitely want to try other things as
Yeah.
well. They're different options. So yeah.
Yes. You should do it. I think you'd be great at gravel, first of all, but also I feel like gravel is doing a really good job. Well, they're really pushing, I should say. I mean, everything needs a little bit of improvement, but they're doing a good job of like inclusivity all around women, like para athletes, LGBTQ, like everything. Like, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I just think it's like a great space where it's like you get to meet all different kinds of people and yeah, they're just doing a good job, including.
It sounds like those races are some good suffering races, like those good long
Yes.
endurance. And see, I love that is my favorite type of suffering. If we have to say we like suffering, that sounds really weird to say, but
Yeah.
that is my favorite. Those long, drawn out, just steady suffering,
Yes.
So I would want to do gravel just so I can go do like the steamboat or all those
Yes.
other things that I've been
Yes.
hearing about. So maybe I just need to get that figured out
Yeah.
how to get a gravel bike.
Well,
But it
yeah.
sounds like I would want to do those.
Yeah.
It sounds
Well,
like
what
a lot.
you should do is you just put in for the lottery, and then this is what happened to me.
Okay.
You put in for the lottery and you
Uh-uh.
don't think you're going to get in, and then you find out you get in, and then you have to buy a gravel bike.
Well, that's one way to do it. I'll be like, I have to tell my husband, like, hey,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah. I
I got
got
this year's
in.
ticket, so
Yeah. I
I need to
can't take
get
my road bike.
it. Although I've
Yeah.
been known to go on gravel roads with it, I don't recommend it, but I
Yeah.
will. If I see a random gravel road, I
Yes.
will be like, where does this go?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
probably don't let me choose the routes because I just choose
Yes.
random roads. That's kind of how I work.
Yeah. We are the gravel bikes we ended up going with, we were recommended by Jess Sarah and
I love
she
her.
yeah, she's great.
I
And
don't
so
know. I haven't
she
met her in real life, but
yeah.
I worked with her with the JoJ bars, and she's just
Oh,
an
yeah.
amazing being. And I've been
Yes.
watching all the stuff that she does. She's just
Yeah.
totally awesome.
She is
Yeah.
awesome. Very wonderful, like kind human. And she recommended Lauf gravel bikes. They're direct to consumer, so they were definitely more affordable, but you don't get to mess around and like make sure you like the dimensions beforehand because they're not in any shops. But price point wise, they were pretty good.
Good.
And they're like, oh, they were doing like 20 and 25% off sales like often. So, I mean, you could get like a full carbon fiber bike, gravel bike for like $2,000. Like,
Yeah, that's really good.
yeah, yeah. So, definitely recommend if people are for our listeners checking out Lauf. Okay, we are pushing the time here. Okay, last question. How I don't know if this is one of your friends or not. They followed you on Instagram, I think. Do we have the person's name, Amanda, for this last one?
I'd have to go back and check.
Okay. This I think this is one of your friends, but they said, does the fro help with aerodynamics and has
Okay.
it been wind tunnel tested? Do you know who said
know
this?
what? No, but I think somebody had sent me a message talking about, I don't think they're going to choose my question. I don't even think I responded. So I have an idea who is probably that person there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Froze actually do not work underneath the helmet.
Oh
So
man.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, but I know it's got to be who messaged me there.
Yeah.
He's probably happy his question did make it.
Right. Yeah.
I have to get people ask him like, how do you put it under the helmet? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I just braid it.
Yeah.
It's really nothing even. It's just 2 French braids
Yeah.
and that's it. It's really
Yeah.
quite boring.
Yeah.
Actually, but a lot of people are very curious. Like, what did
Yeah.
you get? Like,
Yeah.
just put it down.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Okay. And then we have to circle back to our two truths and lies. So you said you've jumped out of a plane, had a baby at home, and then are severely allergic to cats. We think you did not jump out of a plane. Is that the lie?
No,
Oh,
I'm not
wow.
allergic to cats.
Yes. Okay. That's good. That's a win.
I am not allergic to cats. Actually, my husband is,
Oh,
but he's not severely. It's nobody
okay.
is. I was
That's
just like,
good.
gosh. I was like, what's a good lie? I don't even know.
That was a good one. And you
That is-
sold it.
Yeah, you did. You like really made me believe it. You're like continuation. So funny. Okay. But you had a baby at home.
Yes.
Wow. Kudos. That's
Yeah.
impressive. Good for you. Was this like a water birth or
Yeah.
wow.
Water birth. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was definitely, I mean, of course, I still had to go through the way it works. You have your midwife for the home birth, but you also you have to go see a doctor and a midwife. So it was like double the work to make this happen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I mean, which is fine. I'd rather be safe than sorry. I'm not just out here and be like, no matter what, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm like, no, I kind of want a healthy baby.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know,
That's
I'm gonna
great.
do whatever it takes to make sure.
Wow. Good job. And when did you jump out of a plane?
Oh man, that was been some years. I guess like
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Before the
And
baby?
oh yeah. Oh yeah, before. Obviously. And the thing is, I am like crazy terrified of heights, but
Oh my
it was
gosh.
something for my husband because he wanted to do it. And I was like,
Wow.
so I got him, I was like, yeah, we're gonna go skydive.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, we're going, you know, of course we had the other person on our
Yeah.
back and he's like inching me towards the entrance. And I was like, I guess it's a little bit late to be like, never mind.
I'm like terrified for you.
I don't even like to look over balconies. That's
Yeah.
how.
Oh gosh.
I don't know.
I'm the same.
True love right there.
Yeah.
I know.
I hope he gave you like a big repay back for that. He owes you.
Yeah, no, it was, I mean, it was fun after, but getting out the plane, I guess all of it till you landed and then you're like, oh, that was great, you know.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I haven't done it since. So that gives you an idea.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Where can people find you, follow your story, all of that stuff?
I'm most active on Instagram. Faith Irv Rise. There's some underscores in there, but I know you said you'd put the link on there. But if you just put my name, Faith Irvin, you can find me on Instagram. I'm always on Strava because, you know, if it's not on Strava, it did not happen. But I'm always on there. And those are my most active things that I'm always doing, posting to. TikTok, I'm there, but not really there.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Well, we will link those in the show notes for the listeners. And thank you again so much for joining us today, Faith. This has been so fun.
You're very welcome.